Please be seated. I almost have to catch my breath after that. I don't know about you, it's so intensely beautiful. Welcome, truly welcome to you, our cherished students. I'm going to say it's going to be very hard to let go of you, and you remarkable people who support them all you family members and friends, including honored guests, Kim Bruneschultz, and also Vice President Marianne Villarreal. Welcome also Bamba Marilé and your music with its gorgeous history of resistance. So yes, another round of applause. My heart's in my hand, and my hand is pierced, and my hand's in the bag, and the bag is shut, and my heart is caught. So writes Jean Genet, and my heart is caught. I am pierced, I am compelled, I am lured inside your company. Now, there's something we say whenever we gather so as to set the frame for our welcome. Our new university president began his own inauguration with the words I will share. And I warn you, in truth, our very welcome at this university implies seas of sorrow, heartbreaking violence, and a history of Native people still healing themselves with great creativity, great vitality, even playfulness. One more warning. I'm on my way in my brief remarks to convince us all that critical race theory and theories of children's gender and sexuality are forms of generosity, almost sacred generosity to us all, whoever we may be. But hold that thought, I'm coming your way. First, please listen as I share the University of Utah's land acknowledgement, meant to provoke not guilt, but action. We, as the university state, given that the Salt Lake Valley has always been a gathering place for indigenous peoples, we acknowledge that this land, which is named for the Ute tribe, is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes, and is a crossroad for indigenous peoples. Right? I give a shortened version so we really will receive it. This has always been the place of indigenous gathering, and it is a crossroad, a place of intersections at this very moment. So again, welcome. We're thrilled you're here. Now, who are we that are thrilled? What is this school for cultural and social transformation? Parents sometimes are still asking that question. So it's become my tradition to explain it this way. If you take the coolest dance troupe, wed it to a protest, link it to a book club that reads the hippest books, and make it sing with fiery joy, a joy that breaks barriers, confronts institutions, soothes wounds, cracks jokes, dresses rad, and calls things what they are, you have transformed the School for Cultural and Social Transformation. And we are a school for intersectional inquiry. Now that's a mouthful, so what does it mean? This could sound boring, but it's massively important, and it involves you. Intersectionality, that ungainly word, means that we study, means that we live the interlocking dynamics of shifting sexualities, changing genders, vital immigrations, and emergent struggles against all ableist and racist actions. We honor the Black and Indigenous women who crafted this concept so that they could grasp the complications of their lives. I'm proud in this moment to tell you graduates and everyone here that the School for Cultural and Social Transformation, and thus the U, just this semester, has received a prestigious national grant for over $500,000 to be one of only 5 universities in this country to be asked to build a national network for intersectional studies. Dare I say that your degree from the U just became more profound? And that's not all. We are the only university in this country again, through the School for Cultural and Social Transformation, to receive this month $1 million from the same foundation to build a center for Pacifica and indigenous knowledges. Again, to act on the ways the Pacific Islander forms of knowing cross-connect with Native American wisdoms and ways of being. Which takes me now to critical race theory, CRT, and theories of children's gender and sexuality as forms of generosity, intersectional generosity. And I just want to say in this section, because you're going to hear me embracing histories of suffering, I think hopefully we all know nobody is ever reducible to the history of their suffering, right? Histories of suffering also gather joy, gather wisdom, gather playfulness in their ways, and our other speakers are going to get to that very point. Now, if there's something I know from religion, from my 3 years of divinity school, it's that religions intensely honor histories of suffering as sacred to behold. The religions I've studied, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, most of all, ask us to acknowledge, understand, truly face how histories of violence have shaped who we are and what we have to change. Christianity's symbol is literally a man nailed to a cross. Strikingly, in these religious contexts, quite unlike those opposing CRT, no one worries that guilt is in the mix, since guilt is not the ultimate point of facing these histories. Action is. Critical race theory treats us as generously as religion treats us. It presumes we will not fear to confront human suffering caused by human failings and bad human systems. It presumes our tenderness toward one another. It says, fear not. We know we can change. Let me now share how CRT and our gendering of children intersect each other. Question for you: do you know the history of the concept gender, which has so dramatically formed you? As you sit here now, your posture in these chairs, the clothing that you wear, the swooping of your hair, the names that you bear, have all been shaped by gender. Can you, in this moment, feel its enormous shaping effects on your individual history, even if you now refuse your given gender, which I do? Here's my big claim that I want you to consider, and it just may explain why people are unjustly fighting CRT and knowledges of gender. Here's my point. US racial histories are the most stunning proof against there being opposite sexes, and thus two genders, man and woman, in this country. You can also feel free to disagree with me. I'm a professor, I expect disagreement. But just think about it. Since the 13 colonies, this country has made legal and often biological distinctions, however bogus, between at least 6 categories to begin with: white man, white woman, black man, black woman, native man, native woman, joined by other sexes and other territories. There can be no opposites with 6 or more sexes. Due to the US system of race, no one exists as a man or woman. The opposite sex is a phantom concept. Nobody lives it. Yet it's had consequences, to put it mildly, for this country's dealings with race. Take just one example, an example that really hits home here. You know the infamous phrase that justified Indian boarding schools in the late 19th century into the 20th century. It's a very violent phrase, and I bet you have heard it many times. Kill the Indian, save the man. That was produced in an educational context. According to this thinking, the Native man is not a man. The only hope for his sexual future and Native women's future was their being killed in spirit and in culture. And they would be killed into being men and women, and school would do the killing. Yet the game was rigged. Failed assimilation was nearly guaranteed, as we know, due to skin color, blood quantum rules, and graduation rates. Truth be told, most didn't graduate because corporal punishment and sexual assault were common in the schools. For this reason, it was presumed that Native people could not achieve, put that in big quotation marks, could not achieve the sexual stylings of white men and women, and thus became failed opposites in the eyes of whites. Now, we of course know that everything in Native history defies this history. We know what was happening inside communities themselves, tremendous powers of self-healing. But to this day, gender norms are white norms. All of which brings me to the concept of gender. Now, just for 1 second, ask yourself in your head, you will not have to take a quiz, I will not take any hands, what year do you think the concept of gender was born? All right? Don't have to call it out, just think in your head and you'll see if you're right. When was the concept of gender born? As it happens, in 1950. So if you guessed the year 1950, you were right. Oh, my friends, if there were time today, which there isn't, you may be happy for, I would tell you the history of this concept. It's a wild story, one that stunningly shows how your gender, everyone's gender in this room, owes its history to intersex and transgender kids. These are kids, largely white kids, and actually for a whole series of racist reasons, but largely white kids who caused a crisis in the medical belief that there are two sexes. As a result, the concept of gender was created to save the crumbling notion of binary sex. And 1950s norms for men and women, white men and women, were rolled over scientific data so as to defend against what the data showed. Read about it, learn about it, grab me later, I'll tell you where you can learn about it, but it's about your gender, everyone in this room. Which means my point is this: traces of these racial histories live inside the gendering of us all. When we lovingly fight gender norms, we fight racism. And if we're going to stamp a newborn baby with a sex and gender it hasn't yet chosen, don't we owe it to our children, who are already being sexed and gendered by us, to learn the histories that attach to the words that have been lowered like gigantic cones upon their bodies? You can't imagine what that would have meant to this particular child. I, who at 6 years old was a girl, turning gay, feeling trans, under white, facing God, soaked in shame, having a blast amidst all my pain. Guilt, let me say again, is not the goal of all these explorations. Loving, sacred change, loving, playful change is the aim of what we teach. And I believe that you, our students, teach us this generosity. Our hearts are caught on you. We adore you, class of 2022, class of 2021, class of 2020. We are here to celebrate each and every move. Can we all now applaud this happy day? And now I give you the vibrant, the inspiring Sunila Math, our student speaker.
I should have worn taller heels, but it's okay. A big welcome to all of us gathered here today, including Dean Catherine Stockton, faculty, alumni, and class of 2022, with special thanks to parents, friends, and loved ones who made this journey possible. My name is Sunila Math, and I feel honored to be the 2022 Convocation student speaker. Before I begin, I'd like to start by recognizing the history of the land that we are meeting on today. Thank you to Dean Stockton for providing a land acknowledgement. Thank you. I also want to thank my support systems, including my mom, Ela, and my dad, Sanjay, and my brother, Smirin, who decided his AP exam today was more important than me. But I will forgive him for that. They're in the back over there, standing up. In addition, thank you to all my mentors who have helped guide me in my academic journey, and to my friends and peers gathered here today, who have given me unconditional love and encouragement. And I haven't forgotten those joining us via live stream. Today is about all of us, about all of you, just as it is about us. Originally, I wanted to center my speech around parting advice my parents had given me before I started my first year at the U. But my dad's words to me were, "Do what you want, just don't get caught." And I don't think the dean would be happy with me if I told you all to do that too. Instead, I'll share a bit of my story and lessons I've learned during my time here at the U that will hopefully now serve as reminders. Growing up in a South Asian household, my parents stressed the importance of how education aids in personal liberation, forging futures and creating successes. With no sense of direction other than knowing that I wanted to go into medicine, I ventured as an anthropology major throughout my first year of college. My decision to add an ethnic studies degree came later because I appreciated how the field centered diverse experiences. But it wasn't my grades or my GPA or my course load that defined my success. In fact, there are a lot of things that I did not do. I did not graduate with a 4.0. I did not pick up a business minor like I said I would, maybe for the better. And I did not consistently balance my work and social life well, and the majority of the time, college proved to be full of struggle. However, I find merit in focusing on what I did do. I poured energy into my interpersonal relationships. I explored areas of campus that were not limited to my chosen field of medicine. I took my time in deciding what programs and initiatives I wanted to be a part of. We all learned a lot. But I am here as I am. We are here as we are. Regardless of what you did or did not do during your time here, we are enough because of our dedication. We are enough because of the sacrifices we've made to become who we are. You deserve a seat at the tables of the world because up until now, you have been building the foundation for the impact that you want to have on your communities. This degree is just the beginning of our transformation into lifelong advocators, educators, and community builders. And as Transform has taught us, the world needs different types of people to help in different ways. Your work is valuable and your commitment to advocacy necessary and inspiring. When we dismantle harmful narratives within ourselves and our broader community, much of our equity work expands far beyond our chosen fields. For example, I am pursuing medicine, but my classes have taught me that there is no equitable medicine without environmental justice, housing and food security, warmth, and shelter. Equity is the first step in liberation, and there can be no liberation without people who advocate, people who innovate, people who imagine, and people who dream. The most valuable lessons come from learning and from our life experiences. As Dr. Angela Robinson, professor in gender studies, says, we should seek to be perpetual students of the world. Stay curious, for inquisitive people are catalysts of learning. I also want to emphasize that as we figure out how to be a quote-unquote adult, it is okay to still be figuring out who you are outside of a college setting, how you fit into the broader workings of society, and to continue exploring your identity and how you can serve your community. While we are experiencing this transition into a larger community where your actions create ripples, you deserve to take your time and be patient with yourself. I want to share another story that I feel has also served a life lesson. Last spring, the back of my car was hit by tracks. It was quite shocking at first, but I was completely fine. However, I can't say the same for my car. It was also unfortunate that the accident happened right by one of the residential housing units on campus. For weeks after, people would learn of my accident and say, "Oh, that's what that loud noise was?" And in friendly banter, my friends would occasionally say, "Hey, Sunila, remember when you parked on the tracks rails?" Or, "Hey, Sunila, we have to celebrate your tracks-iversary," which just happened about half a month ago, in case you were wondering. You all know who you are. I've learned two things from this story. One, I now have a great 2 truths and a lie icebreaker to tell. And two, people will probably not always remember you for the things you actually want them to remember you for. So, do what you want. Find things that fulfill you outside of social advocacy and justice. Yes, the world needs us to believe in the people that are often harmed by current systems and to fight for them, but it also needs us to take care of ourselves in order to be able to do that. Find ways to celebrate you. I feel I speak for many of us when I say that when we accomplish things we have expected of ourselves, we feel not pride, not satisfaction, not glee, but relief. But we are all worth celebrating, our small steps just as much as our big ones. Our accomplishments should not be minimized. You are relevant and you are valuable. Because we are standing here today, we should be proud of ourselves. I realized that I grew up in a household of learning. I had the living room, which often transformed into a history classroom where my dad would share lessons on India's past. I had the kitchen, where my mom taught me how to navigate interpersonal relationships and the importance of generosity during my present. And the dining room, where both would emphasize what learning could do for my future. In between all of these spaces, my parents were encouraging me not to learn just for my future, but for the future of my community as well. I encourage you all to do the same. Thank you, and congratulations, class of 2022. And now I'd like to introduce our faculty speaker, Dr. Elizabeth Archuleta.
Okay, that's hard to follow up on. Okay, let me get my readers on. I want to congratulate our transformed students and welcome everyone who is here to celebrate their achievements. I also want to commend our graduates on getting through a rough 2 years. While the last 2 years have been difficult, we remain amidst great change with loss and uncertainty seemingly on the horizon. Anti-LGBTQ opponents have introduced and passed several measures, such as banning transgender youth from participating in school sports or passing Don't Say Gay bills. Books about racism and gender identity are disappearing from school library shelves. Hyperpartisan gridlock in Congress is preventing the passage of meaningful immigration legislation. Anti-Asian hate crime is increasing, and several states are introducing abortion restrictions and enacting abortion bans. There's also the recent threat to Roe versus Wade in the Supreme Court. How do we go on amidst these uncertainties and indignities? How do we hold on to hope, joy, and humanity? In the midst of uncertainty, I returned to African-American science fiction writer Octavia Butler and her Earthseed series, which includes the novels Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents. Butler described these novels as cautionary tales, and in the last couple of years, they seem to be a parable for where we are today. In the first novel, the United States has disintegrated from climate change, wealth inequality, and corporate greed. The novels center a young Black woman who navigates the politics of apocalypse and violence. And yet, the novels also offer hope. Although the 15-year-old protagonist, Lauren Olamina, witnesses the destruction of her childhood home, the death of her family, and the violence of humanity, she creates a vision of hope through Earthseed, which appears to be a new religion for a broken world. As COVID extended into a second year, I turned to Earthseed's verses because they mirror our goals in the School for Cultural and Social Transformation. And those goals are transformational change that move us towards social justice. And you'll find the verses that I'm going to read in the insert in your program if you want to follow along. Verse 1 of Earthseed presents change as its central tenet, and it's a principle that's included in other verses. Verse 1 reads, "All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change." Transform students seek to change the world by thoughtfully engaging differences that shape the landscapes in which we live.
But verse 1 also reminds us that what we seek to change also changes us. As future leaders and activists who create change, always take the time to consider how you have changed as you seek justice in the world. Remember that life is a series of changes characterized by a coming together and a pulling apart of opposing forces that change each other, which we see in verse 23 of Earthseed. It reads, "In order to rise from its own ashes, a phoenix first must burn." Fighting sexism, racism, or homophobia can lead to burnout. But like the phoenix, all of you have the courage to touch those fires, knowing you will rise to brightly shine once again. Like Lauren Olamina, you also have the strength and the vision to imagine and create new homes that are just and fair for all. In verse 49, Lauren seems to reflect on the losses that tore her and her world apart as she strives to create a new, diverse, and loving community. In verse 49, she writes, "The child in each of us knows paradise. Paradise is home, home as it was, or home as it should have been. Paradise is one's own place, one's own people, one's own world, knowing and known, loving, perhaps even loving and loved. Yet, every child is cast from paradise into growth and new community, into vast, ongoing change. While Butler's novels are painful, they offer kernels of hope that can assist our collective survival if we are cast from paradise into growth and new community. Since the only lasting truth is change, we cannot go back to the way things were. In a world where there are too many Karens, be a Lauren. Build new communities founded on love and the strength of diversity. Create religions where God exists to be shaped by you, not by someone else. Find your paradise and create a home filled with people who are loving and loved. Or be an Octavia Butler. Be aware, be present, witness the world, and create change so that good conquers evil and kindness conquers cruelty. Thank you for listening and letting me share this time with you, and congratulations to everyone. Now go and make some good change in the world.
Thank you, Dr. Archuleta. All right, we're going to give you a few more minutes for that excitement to be building, all right? So for one moment now, I would like to call your attention to the printed program, and I want to ask the people who have received awards this year, I want to tell you, as an English professor, I'm running out of superlatives for this faculty and what they do. And we're actually a college that does not fetishize awards, but they keep coming one after the other. It's hard for me to even keep up with them. But we do want to make some special recognitions today. So awardees, please stand when I call your name, and please remain standing, all right? So to your insert. Dr. Lisa Diamond, will you please stand? Dr. Diamond has just been announced to be becoming a distinguished professor at the University of Utah. And in case you're wondering, that's actually a rank. It's an honorific rank at the University of Utah. It's the highest rank you can achieve above full professor. And so Dr. Diamond is now distinguished professor of gender studies and psychology. So, yay. I'll just say it's a big darn deal. Dr. Kim Hackford-Peer, please stand. Kim has received one of the very few distinguished teaching awards at the University of Utah this year. And just as you would imagine, that is for superior teaching. So Kim, celebrating you. Dr. Ana Antunes, please stand. Ana has received the Benion Center Public Service Professor Award. And I think you can imagine how meaningful that is at a school like ours to imagine that our work absolutely performs public service. So, Ana, congratulations. Dr. Claudia Geist, please stand. Claudia has been named to be a University of Utah Presidential Scholar, and this is about recognizing mid-career rising stars. So this will not be the last time I'm sure she's having to stand on this platform and be recognized, but Claudia, congratulations. And just for added frisson, we actually have a faculty award not in your program, and I just learned of it yesterday, and it was celebrated at commencement last night. Dr. Susie Porter, please stand. Dr. Porter is past chair of gender studies. She is professor of gender studies and history and currently directing Latin American studies here. And I'm happy to announce that she's among the first cohort of Presidential Impact Scholars. This is a brand new award at the University of Utah, and it's about translating your research to transform society. Dr. Porter, congratulations. Okay, faculty, you may sit. And now to student awards. We're going to begin with the Outstanding Undergraduate Research Award. So Chloe Butler, will you please stand? If Chloe is here, Chloe. Samantha Eddy, if you are here, please do stand. Is Samantha here? Okay, Samantha's not here. All right, still, round of applause. Sarah Orozco. Sarah, thank you. And just remain standing for one moment, you two. I'm going to ask to stand Dr. Annie Fukushima. This is not in your program, but Dr. Annie Fukushima, will you please stand? We can't stop celebrating the fact that Annie is the still newish Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies here at the U and the head of the Office for Undergraduate Research. And it is so meaningful to us in Transform to have somebody like Annie who is leading student research on this campus. It's a game changer, and we just can't stop celebrating our good fortune in having her in that position. Thank you, Annie. And now I'm going to name the Transform Dolores Huerta Scholarship recipients for Social Justice Community Engagement. And I love it when the title of an award actually says what it's doing. So, Chloe Butler, please stand again. Lauren Harvey, I know you're here because I saw you. Lauren Harvey, please stand. Wonderful. And this is about knowledge spilling into action. There are two more people who have received it. They're not graduating, so they're not here today, but I'm going to name them: Suzanne Leilani Kakoa and Adam Montgomery. So please applaud this group. And you may be seated. Thank you. Okay, finally, the moment you've been waiting for. Will the 2022 graduates, along with any 2020 and 2021 graduates, please proceed to the stage for the awarding of degrees? Now, I want to just mention that for all of you here to celebrate, you see that we left a front row empty, so you may use those seats to come take a picture of your graduate as they saunter across the stage, and then please return to your original seat. And this should allow everyone a great photo opportunity. So graduates, please come forward.
Lauren Elizabeth Harvey, majors in ethnic studies and political science, minors in campaign management and leadership studies.
Olivia Joy Kavapalu, major in Health, Society, and Policy with honors and International Studies, minor in Economics and Sociology, and a Pacific Island Studies certificate.
Saipritika Parsawar, majors in Ethnic Studies, an honors major, and Health, Society, and Policy, and a minor in Psychology.
Hannah Elizabeth Jeffs, major in Gender Studies and Communication, minor in Disability Studies.
Callie Nielsen, majors in Gender Studies and English.
Caitlin Elizabeth Schuer, major in Gender Studies and Communication, minor in Spanish.
Gregoria Paula Alegria, major in International Studies, minors in Gender Studies and French.
Nestor Miguel Chavez, major in Nursing with honors, minor in Ethnic Studies.
James Spencer Page, major in Chemical Engineering, minor in Gender Studies.
James Brian Merrill, major in Family, Community, and Human Development and Psychology, minor in Disability Studies.
Ryan Kylie Foster, majors in Gender Studies and Social Work.
Melanie Bartholomew, majors in Gender Studies and Philosophy.
Frankie Nemenik, majors in Gender Studies and Sociology.
Brianna Elizabeth Prue, major in Gender Studies.
Dakota Devon Terry, major in Gender Studies, minor in Health Education.
Patricia K. Ross, major in Sociology with Diversity Certificate, minor in African American Studies.
Gabriella A. Abramson, major in speech and hearing science, minor in disability studies.
Caroline Grace Lumen, majors in gender studies and mathematics.
Bernice Agnes Ova, major in family, community, and human development, minor in psychology, Pacific Islander Studies certificate.
Allie Moore, major in gender studies and writing and rhetoric studies.
Francis Lucas, major in ethnic studies.
West Singleton, major in gender studies.
Jamie Leanne Canfield, majors in gender studies and psychology.
Gabrielle Elise Snow, major in gender studies, minor in political science.
Gracie Davis James, majors in gender studies and psychology, minor in disability studies.
Chloe Rose Butler, majors in gender studies and health, society, and policy.
Raha Murkish, majors in gender studies and psychology.
Sara Orozco, majors in ethnic studies and gender studies.
Jaden Howard, majors in gender studies and international studies and management.
Chelsea Estrella, master's in public health and certificate in gender studies.
Sanila Math, majors in ethnic studies and anthropology.
So obviously, thank you to our graduates and to our faculty and to all of you wonderful supporting family and friends. I'm going to say celebrate yourselves, do a little dance, run your fingers through your hair, pat your bald top. And please, a last round of applause for these remarkable graduates. Congratulations, everyone. And you may now commence celebrating in all the ways you wish. We are at an end.